Nothing beats a good old stream to start the day. So let's dive into it. I don't think I've even turned my computer off since yesterday, which is pretty bad. I probably should turn it off overnight. But anyway, here we are. Man, it looks like my microphone's going really loud. I'm just watching the thing that tells me how loud it's going. Maybe it's too close to my mouth. Let's try that. I don't know. You guys can let me... Oh, my microphone gain thing must have gotten nudged, I think. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Blah, 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 blah. All right, that seems to be okay. Just sort of move that dial a little bit. All right, anyway, let's hook into it. So, where did we get up to last time? That's right. One thing I wanted to do is make sure that these alignments worked when we were on a smaller screen size. Let me just check my servers up, and it is. Yeah, so notice that on a smaller screen size, we've got this like showing on the left, but then we've got it showing on the right, which is kind of weird. We probably want them all to show on the left, even if we add this this reverse flag in there. So let's jump into landing feature and see what we can do about that. So we'd have to say not just reverse, we'd also have to check reverse and if $Q, so Quasar is the screen width greater than, is that it? Yeah, greater than medium. Oh, cool, I'm getting this typing working properly. That didn't seem to be working yesterday, so that's kind of nice. All right, I just saved that. It doesn't look like it did anything, so let's refresh the page and see if that... okay, something weird's going down here. Yeah, no, that's fine. We're developing on local. This is fine. All right, so we got that on the left, and on the left. And now once we get to a medium size, they should now be... Whoa, okay, that did not work. Maybe I've got the breakpoint set to small. No, I got it set to medium. Screen is great. Okay, greater than small. That's the problem there. Should be greater than small. And there we go. So now it's aligned to the correct side. But if I go a little bit smaller, they're now all aligned to the left. So that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to quickly fix that little problem there before we moved on. And I think I'm going to change the way I do this. So I was talking to some of the guys in the Quasar community on the team, and they were basically telling me that what they usually do is they have 2 classes, or at least most of them, and then in their array they'll have their like computer type classes, but then in their normal class they show their normal classes. So basically I can take this out and throw it in there, and now this computed one here can be the only one that actually shows within that array. And I might even put that on a new line like this. Now that should still work the exact same, and then these 2 things will be intermingled, those 2 classes there. So let's refresh the page here and see if that still works. Looks like that's working. And when we hit the breakpoint, that still works as well. So I think I'm going to start following this style now, since that seems to be the more recommended approach in the community. So let's go with that. All right. So this section was done. We did the testimonial section. Let me just double check that still looks good, and I'm happy with that. Yep, and we'll add the extra margining and stuff on top and below as the last step. And now we can move on to the next section, which is the pricing tables section. I think I'm going to name it differently. Yeah, I said here plan select, but let's call it pricing table. I think that's the more common terminology that they use for that. Now, every time it says if true, I can now set that to false, so all of these disappear. And now we can start working on the pricing table. So let's grab all of that. And then we'll open up our to-do list of things to do. So the first thing we do is create the skeleton with fake heights and background colors with all columns set to extra small. I believe that has already been done. So let's just check. Oh, actually, first I need to extract this to its own component. So let's say Quasar, new component. And we're going to call this, we'll call it landing pricing table. I'm pretty happy with that. And there we go. Let's go down here and whack that in there. And this is called landing pricing. It should be plurals, really, shouldn't it? Yeah, pricing tables. So let's go create another one. But then I'll probably use that other component because the individual pricing tables will be their own components. So that's fine. Let's do that. landing pricing tables, and we'll come up here. Actually, let's jump into that component first. Come back, and then I'm going to grab all of this and whack it in there. Landing pricing tables, plural. And I always like to wrap them in a div, because you're always going to need that extra flexibility of having it in a div. The use case always comes up, so you might as well have it wrapped and ready to go. So there we go. That's that component. And what I might actually do is another step here for each section. Add content to the skeleton. How about before make it responsive, we say create new components if needed. Or how about abstract? I think create new components if needed is fine. Yeah, let's go with that. I can probably get rid of all this up here. Yeah, I can get rid of all that. That was just from a podcast that I did. And this is my building layouts to do. I should probably save this at some point. Building layouts. Yeah, let's go with that. Cool. All right, so, man, I'm running out of space here. It's one of the hard things about streaming. It's very easy to run out of space. Where am I up to here? Create the skeleton effect. Add content to the skeleton. So we haven't done that yet. And I'm just going to bring up my other pricing tables here. So we've got a title, and then like a subtitle here. So I'm literally just going to steal what I've got there. So let's say simple. And then we'll have another section here, which is going to be, I only have a few things to do. Let's save that, see if it worked out. Yep, the alignment's all wrong, but that's totally fine with just adding content. Hey, how's it going? How do I say that? Daston. That is a cool name. Actually, really, this should be sitting within there. I think that's what I actually meant. So let's say, let's have a div there for that. And we can whack that in there. Yeah, okay, I think this is actually what I desire. So simple, I only have a few things to do. What's the other section that I have in here? And by the way, it's always going to look ugly when you're doing this. So it actually doesn't look pretty until the very end with my process, which I'm totally fine with. Means that you can really focus on the beauty at the end rather than trying to do it all at the same time. We'll then have another div here, which is that free section. And that'll probably end up being a heading, but we'll do that later on. Totally doesn't matter. And then you've got a div for each of these list items as well. Yeah, for now, I'll just leave it as divs. It's going to it'll probably end up being a list, but I'll leave it as divs for now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's get that dummy data in there. And in reality, obviously you wouldn't have something that's already set and ready to go unless you had like a designer doing all that for you. But I'm lucky enough that I do because I've kind of already done this. And I'm redoing it in the context of teaching it to somebody. All right, so let's come back and see if that looks good. Yep, that's fine. We want to get rid of this height here because we won't need it now that we've got content in there. But we might keep that max width. It looks like that's actually needed. There we go. And the last thing I have is this select button. So let's come in here and say Q-button. And what word did I put on there? Select. Label is equal to select. There we go. Super, super simple. In fact, while I'm at it, I probably will set this to like a H4. Yeah, even though it's all going to look dumb, it's just the point is just to get it in there. So we've done that step now. And I want to try and keep these steps as raw as possible and only do what the step asks me to do. So we've added the content, including images, yes, divs with text, and whether or not it is a column. Maybe I do want to do that. I don't know, let's move on for now. Create new components if needed. So basically what I'm going to do is this is the landing pricing tables, plural. Now we're going to have landing pricing table. So basically I want to get rid of, I want to take this little section here on its own and turn it into its own component, which would be this here. And there we go. So now we can say here landing pricing table. So we've got that. Next, we want to say here, components. And we're going to whack it in there. We'll say here, import landing pricing table from components / landing pricing table dot view. Jump into that component, whack that in there. What have I done wrong? Oh, I've got to actually use the component. Sweet. All right, so nothing changed, which means that's working. I'm going to comment this out just to check, so that should disappear. Oh. Anyway, it looks like it is working. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. 1 second. This could be important. Hello? To who, sorry? No, this is Luke. No, that's all right. Okay, looks like that was a wrong number. I'm getting my dishwasher fixed soon, so I just wanted to check that whether or not that was a right number. All right, so that disappeared. Looks like that's working. So let's bring these back in here, and then we can start iterating on the pricing table. I think that's the next thing. Let's go into the list. Make it responsive. So we're saying here, never change widths or margins on a column. If needed, wrap in a div instead. Okay, so that's basically saying you don't want to mess with the widths and the margins for one of your column classes, because column needs to know, it sets up the widths and the margins itself. And so if you mess around with these, it's going to mess up the column. All right, so let's jump into the landing pricing table. And what specifically was it? Make it responsive. So in order to test this, we're going to need a couple more of them. So let's paste that down like so. And we're probably going to have to put it in its own row. Oh no, we might not have to. So that'll be its own row, and this will be another row here. Yeah, there we go. They're all set to extra small. So basically, I'm pretty sure I just have to say something like column medium. So once we hit a medium size, let's set it to 4. So let's copy that. And that's it. So now let's move this across. Yeah, man, that's literally all I had to do. Check it out. Ha, perfect. Now, if I go full screen here, however, notice that everything just gets a little bit too separated. So this is how I deal with that problem. Basically, I go one level up. So I wrap all of this in its own div and give it a specific width. So it's going to be in its own row. Oh, actually, I think that's the next step. Make it responsive. Yeah, set positioning and aligning for the content. I don't know. I feel like this thing here, like that concept should probably sit in there. Max width. Yeah, I'm going to put it in there. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of messing around with my process here to make sure that when it's more replicatable. All right, so let's say a div here, and then we can say style is equal to, oh, what was I doing? Class is equal to a row. So basically, we've already got a row here, but I'm going to create a new row here and set a maximum width on it. And that means that this is never going to end up being too wide. So notice that if I go full screen, these are too separated and they're a little bit too wide. I want to have control over that, which is why I'm wrapping it in its own row here. In fact, this whole row section here might even become redundant, but we'll take a look at that in a second. So now let's say justify center. Save that. And there we go. But if I go full screen, notice that it's now a little bit too small. So what we want to do is we want to say full width on that. Full dash width. And now that'll basically bring us back to square one, where it's too wide again. However, now because it's sitting within its own sort of contained section, we can now do something like this. Style equals max width, and I'll set that to something like 450 pixels. Actually, that's probably way too small. Let's maybe go like 1,200. Let's see what that looks like. And there we go. That's a little bit better. We might go a little bit wider than that. Let's try 1,400. See what that looks like. I think that looks good. Anyway, we can start playing with these numbers afterwards. So that is that step done. Now we want to set the positioning and aligning for the content. So that's for the content itself. So notice that at the moment, all the content is aligned to the left. However, I want to have it all aligned to the center. So let's come over here and align all of that to the center. We'll jump into a landing pricing. And I might come up here and just do it here. Text-center. And there we go. That centers everything. And what else did I say? Positioning and aligning. What do I mean by positioning? Oh, that's this stuff here, like justify. And let's add another one in here, because text-center. I would kind of consider that like positioning and aligning of content. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's kind of simple in this example. I think that's literally it. We could probably just move right on. Check that it looks okay full screen. It does. We'll go back, and now we can move on to the last step, which is styling. So this is the fun part. Once I get to styling, I might even say here, style the content, remove background colors. Okay, so the first thing I do now is remove all of those background colors so that when I'm styling it, I can do it without that sort of nasty look, that nasty purple look. Get rid of it there, get rid of it there. Nice, and we're kind of back to something blank now. And now I can start styling this how I like. Okay, first of all, this is going to be a card. Probably not the div itself, probably this section here, Q-card. Let's see if that works. That worked nicely. We probably want a max width on this card. We've already got one. That looks a bit wide to me, so maybe like 380. Oh, actually, as we start adding more content, that might actually be a good size. So next, I probably want to turn this into a Q card section. Q card section. So let's save that and see how it works. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next, we want to have a separator. So let's say Q-separator, separator, for those sections. And then this section down here will be a Q-card-section as well. And there we go. So we've got this section and this section here now. So that's starting to look a little bit better. Let's set a custom size on this. So I like to say style is equal to font size, so I can just do it directly. 1.2 EM. Let's try that. Okay, that's a better size, but I want to have a little bit more styling. So let's say like text-gray-9, just to soften it up a little bit, but then make it bolder. So text-bold, let's try that. Yeah, all right, I think that looks pretty good. Thanks, Adrian. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. I might do the same thing down here. Let's maybe make this 1.3 EMs. Yeah, a little bit bigger. And then I'm basically going to copy all of that styling and do it for this section here. So what I might do is paste it below, take this, and just whack it through there. There we go. Save it. All right, so now we want to style this a little bit differently. That won't be bold. Maybe rather than gray 9, we can make that gray 10, just a little bit sort of more, a little bit stronger. And it's feeling a little bit big, so let's say 1.1 for that subsection there. I only have a few things to do. Maybe 1.5. I'm getting a little bit hyper-specific here. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now, I've got a little gray background here. I think that looks quite good, so let's go with that as well by saying background gray 1. Super light background. Oh, whoops, I've added that to the wrong section. We want that to be for this card section here. So class is equal to background gray 1. Nice. Nice, that looks good. Now let's add all of this here. First of all, this free thing is way too big. Oh, and before I do all of that, we need to make this content dynamic, I think. So let's change this from simple to, what would we call that? Actually, this might make more sense with slots. No, we'll add slots later on, I think. Yeah, how about we call this the name of the plan? And then this is going to be subtext of the plan. Subtext. So we've got name, subtext, and then we've got price here. Let's say price. I wonder if my linter will automatically do that for me, actually. If I save this. Oh, yeah, that's a spacing for me. Thank you, linter. And then this can be just an array of to-dos. So what if we just say here, v-4, not to-dos, what am I saying? Feature in features. And I'll probably end up turning these into slots just so I get a bit more flexibility, but let's just leave it like this for now. Actually, let's bring that back. I don't want to lose all of these. I'll have to copy paste it again. Oh, I've already got it sitting on my example anyway, so let's go back to this. Feature, now we can get rid of all of that. And I think that's it. So now I can come up here and say name, subtext, price, features, Control C. And now I can say in here props, and then whack all of those props in there. And now we can start doing stuff like this. Type is equal to string. And then we'll say the default is equal to, and then we'll set a default there just so it's easy to work with. All right, so this has to be an array now. So we'll set that to an array. I'm pretty sure arrays need to be a function that returns an array when you're using view. Oh, what am I doing? I think that's probably the fastest way to do it. I don't know. What's it telling me? Oh, I need to have a key here. So now let's say key is equal to that feature because that's going to be unique. So I can do that. All right. And now we just need to give this some default. So let's come back to Quasar getting started. And I'll come down here and say simple. And that'll be the default for the name. And then we can just start pasting all of this in. Whoop. Oh, actually, no, it should be pasted like that because I want the quotation marks in there. Price of this one is free. And then we can just paste these in as a list in this array. So what I can do now is basically say return an array like this, whack them all in there. And I think I can do this and then say hold shift and then press end. Where's that end key? There's like an end of line. Oh, I don't think it works because I'm having some trouble on my OS. I don't think Linux likes my keyboard. Save that. And there we go. Let's come back here and see if we have what we originally started with. And we do. Tremendous. Okay, so now we can go on designing here. So we got the name of this whole section I think looks fine. I'm happy with that now. Now next we've got the word in all capitals. However, that margining is just ridiculous. So we're going to say class is equal to q-margin y none. So I'm just going to remove all of that margining. This probably needs, instead of margining this, what I might do is margin each of these items and then it'll probably display nicely. So let's say for each of these, we'll say class is equal to q-margin y, maybe set it to small. Nice, yeah, that's probably good. Let's see what happens if I set it to medium. Yeah, even medium, I like to keep them quite separate. I think that looks quite good. And now I'll say style here is equal to font size 1.2 EM. A lot of people probably don't like that I'm custom doing all of my font sizes. I like to do it because I feel like there's so many varying font sizes you get in different scenarios. And I don't think font size consistency is that important. I think font is important, but I like to have total control over my font sizes, which is why I'm always whacking it in a style tag. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future and start extracting these to classes, but for now I think this is totally fine. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of a margin here. Class equals q-margin top small. Yeah, just to make that a bit more separate. Let's set the color equal to primary. That looks good. I might flatten it. Should I flatten it? Or does it look good when it's a little bit shadowed? No, I think the shadow looks good. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with that. I want to set a maximum width on it though. I've already got one, but I think it should be a bit more. So maybe something like 360. Let's go with that. 350. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, especially when I start adding the other ones and more features, they might sort of fill up a bit more. So let's go full screen on that and see what it looks like. That looks beautiful full screen. It looks beautiful on a smaller screen. Let's go all the way down. Yep, that still looks good to me. All right. That's pretty much it. The last thing I want to do is be able to feature one of these plans. So we've got the simple one, But then right in the center, you want to have your featured plan. So if we go to our props section, and whoop, I always like to space these a little bit more. And let's have another one that is featured. And the type of this is going to be a Boolean. And by the way, if you set the type in there as Boolean, then you're able to add a flag like this. So you know how sometimes you can add a flag, for example, featured, like that. If you set that as a Boolean, you don't have to do this. Is equal to true or false. Right? If you set it as a Boolean, by default, it's going to basically convert it to true or false like that behind the scenes. So you can just do that and it'll work. Okay, so always make sure when you have a Boolean as a prop, you type it as a Boolean. In fact, I always use this object notation, and I recommend getting used to using object notation for your properties if you're not used to it already. It's pretty awesome, and having that extra, it actually gives you like a little bit of extra documentation. I find that when I'm working with other people, they like having properties in there that are objects because they can scroll down here, they can see whether things are required. So I'll usually say, for example, required true if it's a required property and it doesn't have a default, and it's just nice to know what you have to add into that component. So that's just like a little tip there. So features, let's set the default here equal to. And by the way, notice that, that lint, featured, spelled that wrong. And if I just do that, yeah, notice that, it should be squawking at me. What's my linter saying? Yes, lint. Yeah, I want it to get mad at me for that. Because it should at least have a default value or be required. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's say required is equal to false, but then I'll set a default value equal to false as well. All right, so now I can come up here and start playing around with what the featured one will look like. So let's go into the table here, and we're going to set this one to featured. Save that, come back in here, and if it's featured, it's just going to have like a little bit of that color at the top there. I think that's our secondary color. So let's come down and have a look. It would probably be here. So let's say class equals background blue, just to check if that's it. Oh, nope, wrong section. It would be this one here. Yeah, of course, the one that's got background gray. So what I can do here is I'll just set that equal to an array. And then we can say featured. If it's featured, then the background is going to be background dash secondary. Otherwise, I want it to be background gray. What did I do wrong there? Question mark. Oops. Added that colon in there. Cool. Now, the next thing we'll have to do is make sure the text is the correct color as well. Now, I've set text gray on that level, so what I might be able to do... Actually, this one's grade 9 and this one's grade 10. So I'm going to have to do it individually like this. We'll have to basically turn these into arrays. But we'll leave text bold there. And then have another class property, which is going to be the interpreted one. Because if you saw the start of the video, I decided I was going to do it this way, where you got class and then an interpreted class. Featured, and so if it's featured, then it's going to be text dash white. Otherwise, it will be text dash gray dash 9. And we're going to do the exact same thing down here, but this one is going to be text gray 10. Save it. There we go. You know what? I think I'm just going to simplify this. Let's just throw it all up here. Yeah, I think that makes a little bit more sense. So let's format this a little bit differently. Especially since this is going to be a getting started guide. I don't want to get too complicated here. So let's basically just grab what we've got here. And I'm basically moving this functionality up to there. And we'll set that to text. I don't know. Let's go text gray 9. See what this looks like. Now if I save that, we get pretty much the same thing. It just means that these both have the same gray color. This is Quasar version 2, and you can tell it's Quasar version 2 because I don't know. It actually looks the exact same in all of my code, but I'll be able to use setup here. So if I wanted to come in here and say setup console.log here. This shows that I'm using the composition API. So if I save that, open this up, and notice that I get here, that's because we are able to use the composition API. We're able to use the setup method. Even though technically you can do that in Vue 2 if you use a plugin. But yeah, we are using, Vue 3 if we use a plugin. But yes, we are using Quasar version 2 here. However, I'm using the options API because what I'm working on right now is a getting started series. All right, what else? I think that looks pretty good. I think I might actually make this a little bit thinner. I changed my mind. Let's change it from 350 to maybe like 330. Yep, that's better. Cool. All right, I'm happy with that. What we might do is, for some of the paid plans, you might want to have, for example, bolder ones down the bottom to show the new things that you're getting. So how about we come down here? No, actually, that's going to be overkill. I'm going to keep it simple because this is going to be a getting started guide. But usually I'd, turn this into an object so that you get more control over it. And you can say, give it a different color, and you'd make them slottable as well. So if you want, you can slot this whole thing or just slot individual features and that kind of thing. But we're going to keep it simple because this is a getting started guide. Now, I think that's actually everything. I've done everything now. This is exciting. So now if I come back to landing page responsive, I've wanted to finish this for a very, very long time now. And we set all of these equal to true. So basically just turn them back on. Whoops. And then go full screen there. We got our landing page. We got all the different things that it can do. We got a little bit of a call to action here. Testimonials. And then select a plan that's right for you. Nice. I'll be migrating my project soon, I think. Awesome. I've actually created a guide for migrating your project. In fact, if you go to quasar.dev, and then you go to Quasar version 2 beta, this is actually my guide here that I created for migrating to version 2 of Quasar. And basically what we do is I created a to-do app that breaks in every single way possible. So it's just an app that completely screws up because when you try and migrate it to Quasar version 2. So it works on version 1. On version 2, it breaks in almost all of these different ways in this guide. And so the idea is you can then follow along with me as we upgrade that app to version 2 so that you can experience fixing all of the problems that you might run across. So yeah, check that out if you're upgrading and you like to do it via videos. Otherwise, this step-by-step guide is awesome. And most of it you won't actually need because most of it is stuff that, most of it is stuff that you probably won't run into anyway. It's an exhaustive guide because they wanted to make sure they hit everything. Oh, thanks, Dustin. Dustin says he's already looked into my guide, which is really cool. It's nice to know that it's helping some people. That took me ages to build, and sometimes you spend all this time building something and you wonder if people have actually looked at it, but it looks like it's getting some traction, which is really encouraging. All right, so the next thing I would do is I want to color these different sections. So I'd like to go gray, white, gray, white, gray, just as just to kind of make them stand out differently. And then I'd margin these sections like crazy. So I'd give them I'd basically try and make sure that they're taking up at least, I don't know, 70% of the page. I don't know. I'm still not sure how I'm gonna handle that. So let's just start playing with it and see what we end up with. I think on a smaller screen, this probably looks okay. I don't know. Anyway, let's have one more call to action at the bottom. So where's our call to action section? Oh, here it is here. Feature. So come down here and we'll have another landing feature down there at the very bottom of the page, just as one last call to action. Oh, not feature. What am I doing? Call to action. Here we go. All right. So we can come down here and whack that in there. And then what you might do is you'd probably mix and match here. You might have a pricing table, and then you might have another feature section down here. You can kind of play around with that however you like. But anyway, let's start coloring these differently now. I should be able to say, for example, give me a background white on this one, and then on the second one, give me a background gray. So that's our first landing feature. Let's say here, background gray, maybe 2. See how that turns out. There we go. That section is grayed off. Let's see if it works on a larger screen size. And it does. Nice. Just creates a little bit of, just breaks up the page a little bit, which I really like. Might make it even a little bit grayer. Yep, that looks good. Now we've got the testimonial section, and then we've got the plan section, which probably also needs a background gray. So let's go to the plan section, or pricing table as we're calling it now. And class is equal to background gray 3 also, and that breaks that up a little bit better for us too. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, these sections, actually, I don't know. I feel like this plan section, I feel like it could probably break a little bit earlier. Yeah, let's go into this pricing table. Probably the same here as well. Maybe we could break a little bit earlier and show it as 3. So let's see how that works out. We'll go to landing pricing table. Column medium 4. What have we said? What have we said? Column small. Something like 5. I don't even know how that would work out. All right, so the problem we end up there, though, is that they end up squishing too much to each other. But that's kind of the same problem here. Notice that they squish too close to each other at that very last moment. So the way I usually fix that is simply by adding a little bit of margining to each of my pricing tables. So if I come back up here, I'll probably do it on this level here. And then I can say class is equal to q-marginal small, something like that. So it won't look like it did anything, but now, when we're on that smaller size, yeah, notice that the smaller size we get still has a little bit of space between it. Actually, that actually worked out perfectly. Yeah, look at that. So we're showing 3 now, and let's see if it breaks nicely. Oh, that got too squishy. Okay. This might be sort of difficult to avoid. Maybe we could have a minimum width. That's probably the best way to solve this problem. Yep, let's go with that. So if I come down here and say minimum width, and I set it to something like 200, let's try 220. Let's try 330 just to see if it's working at all. Okay, so it is working. So let's try 300. Oh no, because then we end up with this overlap. Man, I don't know the best way to solve this. Or honestly, maybe that's not so bad. It's rare you're going to end up with a device that looks like that. Let's see what it looks like on like Samsung phones or even like a Pixel phone. That looks fine to me on a Pixel phone. What about a Pixel extra large? That still looks fine to me. iPad looks great. Galaxy Fold. Yeah, you know what? That totally looks fine. I'm going overboard here. This looks fine. No one's going to have a screen like that on a desktop. The only place it doesn't look good is on a desktop. Okay, so that looks good. And we might do the same effect for this section here, the testimonials. So how about we say landing testimonials, plural. And now to do this, we probably literally just have to say column small, and we'll set that to, I don't know, maybe something like 6. Yeah, but now we want it all centered as well. So we can just say justify center in order to fix that scenario. So there we go. That looks good to me. When we go full screen. Wait, what's going on here? That should definitely not show like that on full screen. So let's come down here and try and fix that. Oh, did I break that cardinal rule? Where I put margining. Yes, you should never put margining on, oh no, you can put it on a row. You can't put margining on something with a column though. So that's the rule that I'm breaking here. So put that margining in the wrong spot. Get rid of it there, and get rid of it there. So what I might do is I might select, I guess I could do it in here, q-marginal small. And there we go. If I go full screen, whoop, it still works in full screen. Smaller screens sort of breaks down like that, which is going to be rare, to be honest. Oh man, it's coming back again. Marginal small. Maybe I need to wrap this entire thing within its own div. Looks like I am going to have to do that. I don't know. Why would those margins be running into each other there? Oh, when in doubt, wrap it out. Div, q-marginal small. And now we'll come up here and we'll get rid of this margining. Am I in the right component? Yep, landing pricing table. Yep, so they're not hugging each other anymore. And if we go full screen, it's kind of done something weird though, where with the maximum width, I feel like that's not what the maximum width is anymore. That's changed. I mean, you always run in these tiny edge cases, don't you, when you're doing this kind of design? Yeah, so that would have to do with this margining here, which is, for some reason, the max width is going to that margining. Ugh, I hate CSS. Is there a reason why your margins over the QGutter classes? I just find it easier to deal with, to be honest. Yeah, honestly, you might be right. It might make more sense to use a QGutter here. It's a good question. Why aren't I using the guttering? I feel like I tried to use it and I ran into some weird edge case. But you know what? If it can get rid of another level here, then that would be awesome. So let's go ahead and see if we can try that. Thanks for that, Daston. That might be a good solution to our problem. So let's have a look at full screen here. So we're going to try adding a gutter there so that when we get to this size, we don't end up with that overlap. So let's hit the problem. So there it is with the problem. And now let's come over here and say, you do it on the row, don't you? No, you would go to landing. Now I've got to remember how to use the gutter. I think you do something like this. I think the gutter actually goes in the parent. Let's try this. Q-gutter. I think I can do it without a size. Let's try small. Sweet. All right, so let's stress test this a little bit. See if it worked. Daston, you legend. That is literally the perfect solution to this problem. I don't know why I didn't do that. That was really good advice. Okay, so that works good on all these sizes now. Full screen. Ah, no, it's giving me that problem in full screen now. So adding the gutter seems to have returned that problem. Maybe if I say q-col/gutter. I remember reading something in the doc saying that you had to do that. All right, that's still working. Full screen. Yep, okay, that's working now. I'll have to look at the difference between the two, but I know there's q-gutter and then there's q-column gutter. Can I get rid of the small part? Q-column gutter. All right, that looks fine. And now let's stress test it a little bit. No. All right, let's look at the docs and try and figure out how to use gutter properly. Q-gutter. And then there's like a column gutter. Yeah, Q-col gutter. And then it looks like you do have to put in the size. When the direct children have a col or an offset. Yeah, we might have to do these individually. All right, so let's give that a crack. Q column gutter. Let's just hit the issue by making this smaller. So that hits the issue. Column gutter for small. Oh no, that last bit is telling you how big the gutter is, not telling you it's for the small size. Oh gosh, I'm such a ninny. Ugh, silly Luke. So then why? Oh, now it's working. What did I change? I don't know. I thought that wasn't working before. That's working fine. In fact, that's perfect. That's exactly what I needed, and we're going to use that exact same concept here as well. So let's come back here, and we'll go to testimonials. We want the landing testimonial. Actually, no, we want testimonials. I hate writing this word. It's so hard to wrap your fingers around the word testimonials. Okay, so now we can add a gutter on here, and then I can get rid of all the margining inside them. So let's do the margining inside them first. Q marginal medium. So if I get rid of that, that should now allow me to hit the issue. There we go, they're overlapping. So now let's come back here, and I should be able to say, as Daston suggested, Q dash column gutter. So for the columns, let's add a gutter of small. Maybe even medium. Maybe we'll change them both to medium. And there we go. That looks beautiful. Still works full screen. And Daston, you are a legend. Thank you for that. I was able to drastically simplify this. And I get to teach them the concept of using a gutter now, which is awesome. Yeah, nice. I feel like I'm doing everything the sort of Flexbox way now. All right, this might be done. Actually, no, that's right. I got distracted. The last thing I was doing is setting the heights on all of these. So let's go back again. I kind of went down a little bit of a tangent there. So let's come back up here. Landing page is fine. That's always going to look okay because it's sort of I've already designed that so that it can work on full screen. Each of these sections needs to be a little bit larger. So how about we say, first of all, we want to at least have some margin on the top and bottom of these sections. So how about we say here, maybe not even a margin, maybe like padding. Style is equal to padding, how about we say padding top of, I don't know, 180 pixels. That did nothing at all. Oh no, it did. It just did it on different section. All right, that's probably too much. Let's just go with 80 pixels. I'd usually use the CSS classes like extra large, but I want to have, this is one of those rare situations where I really want a lot of control over my padding, and it's probably going to vary a little bit from section to section. So there are moments where I jump out of CSS classes, which is totally fine. You're allowed to do that. It's not like there's a you must use utility classes rule that we all must follow like a religion. Padding bottom. All right, that's kind of good. Let's go full screen. And there we go. Just kind of fleshes out that section a little bit more. And how about we set like a minimum height on this? We might even turn this into an object. Yeah, let's go with that. And now I could say this is padding top, padding bottom. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Man, I wish there was like a plugin. Maybe there is that'll allow me to easily do this. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. Now I want to have a minimum height for this section, which is going to be like maybe 90 view height, just for those larger screens. I don't know, maybe 90 view height is too much. 70 view height? I don't know, let's play around with it. Minimum height is going to be equal to 90 view height. I think I decided on something like 70 view height. Yeah, so it's not going to change anything here, but if we have like a really big screen like this, it should heighten it a little bit. Now that has not done it. That has blatantly not worked. So what have I done wrong here? 70. Let's see what happens if I set that to 100 view height. All right, so it looks like 70 was just too small. So let's change it to 80. We'll go full screen on that. Is that stretching the image? I'll deal with you in a moment. But yeah, okay, I think that looks pretty good. I might even knock this up to like 85. View height, did that change? Yeah, it did. Cool. So that's nice and spacious, but with the mobile design, it's not going to be, it's not going to ruin it by having too much spaciousness. It just means that when you're on a really large screen, you get that beautiful spaciousness there, but you don't. It doesn't ruin it on a mobile. So that's why I add this padding to the top and bottom, so it's at least a little bit spacious. But then I say, hey, if you're on a super big screen, we're going to use up a little bit more of that space. So you can also often get away. The reason I do this is you can often get away without using query classes. You know those CSS queries? I try to never use them. I hate them. I'll use them if I need like super control, but they're just like so annoying to code with. And I found that just being able to do like basic stuff like this gives me all of the design experience that I desire, without the need to add those, all those breakpoints and annoying crap like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to copy paste this down. Honestly, in this case, I'd probably add another level of abstraction and sort of turn this into its own section, but it doesn't probably doesn't make sense in the context of a beginner series. All right, so that'll look good on a mobile device. Will it? Or is that too much? Yeah, maybe 100 pixels is too much. Let's change it to like 80. Oh, the reason that's looking so large is because this is like having a super long mobile screen, which you would never have. It would be more like this, in which case it does look a little bit better. Oh, I need to add those sections back in. So let's section them off again. I accidentally got rid of them by pasting over. And this one had a background of gray 3, I think I set it to. Yeah, very nice. It breaks it up a little bit. All right, so what else? Let's just try using this exact same concept on some of the other sections. So we got a landing feature, call to action. You wouldn't do it on a call to action. It's meant to be like a thin sort of section. But let's try this concept on testimonial. See how that works out. All right, so it already looks fine there. If I go full screen here, the testimonial section is, honestly, the testimonial section can probably require a larger view height, something like 95. So let's go full screen there. The only problem is it pulls this down. So what I might do is jump into an individual testimonial. Let's jump into the section first. And we might have to go one step further and wrap these within a div, just so their height doesn't get mangled with. Then I'll have to grab these classes, cut them, and whack them on there, like that. And then my linter should clean all that up for me, and it did. It's still not working. All right, let's scratch our noggin a little bit. So testimonial is in a column extra small. So by setting a max height here, this is being pulled. We probably have to go one step further and wrap that. So let's wrap that in a div. No, apparently not. Oh, I think I've gone to the wrong section. Hang on. Let's undo all of that. I think it's called landing. Testimonials. Yeah, okay, there we go. Let's try wrapping this entire section within its own div, like so. And now let's set a full width on this. That's not going to work, because this has got the max width on it. Oh, there's got to be an easy way to do this. Oh, you could just use flex start, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, let's just say here, flex dash start. No, that's not working either. Can I say here, okay, we've got the landing page here. This is a column. Maybe that's what's messing it up. No, what is stretching this? Man. So something is stretching that out. So this is a row. Let's just play around here and see if any of these actually fix the solution, come up or a solution. I feel like I should be able to wrap this in a div and then center it. I guess that's one solution, but if I wrap it in a div, yeah, so that fixes it. So what's happening is this is being stretched, I believe. Oh, how about, so that might mean that I can say on here, items start. There we go. So that's gotten rid of that little underline there. There we go. So the testimonial section kind of stands on its own a little bit better. And now let's do the exact same thing with the plan section. The pricing table. So we can say here style. And I'll probably whack it on the div like so. Nice. In fact, that's probably what I should have done with the testimonials. I probably should have just wrapped that in a div and then added this here. So let's just go back into landing testimonials. See what happens if we undo all of that. Whoops, we want that back, the column gutter part. So we'll undo all of that. So it's re-stretched again. And really, I should be wrapping all of these in a div and just kind of abstracting one step further. Nice. Oh, no, wait, not nice. Giving me the exact same problem. But I can still come in here. Whoops. I could still come in here and say flex start or justify start. No, not justify. Item start. Ugh, spelled that wrong. There we go. Okay, so basically we're putting all of this work, sort of that extra padding type work, onto the component. Onto the a div within the layout itself. I like to basically handle all of that more abstract layout type stuff outside of the component, so that once I'm done, I can just kind of like scroll down and view everything as a whole and tweak things as a whole. That's just how I like to sort of abstract my classes and styles. So that's done now. Why have we got this big ridiculous space though? What is going on there? Must be something within this table. Oh, when we said justify end. So hang on. Even with justify, let's have a look at what happens when I get rid of justify end. Wait, what? I've wrapped the wrong thing. Oh my gosh. I wrapped the wrong thing. No wonder this is giving me some weird issues. Let's try that. Okay. All right, that looks good now. Smaller screen. Still looks pretty good. All right, now let's do the exact, we've already done the same thing for the pricing table. And did it work out well? I think it did. The only problem is it doesn't seem to be centered properly anymore. So what we might be able to do now is make this its own flex and then say flex dash center. So when I go full screen there, it's kind of more in the center. Well, perhaps it is being centered, but I don't know way I can test this. Let's go big, and then I'm going to bring it down onto my bottom screen. And then I'll be able to sort of grok whether or not it's centered. Whoops, grabbed the wrong thing. All right, so that's definitely not being centered. I can tell because I dragged it onto my bottom screen. So let's come up here. And for the testimonials, we can say here class is equal to flex and then flex dash center. And there we go. That's now centering it. So yeah, this is why it's nice to have that extra level of abstraction in terms of your styling. Flex, flex dash center. We'll do the same with you. And that, my friends, might be everything. I believe it is. So the last thing I want to do now is fix this weird image issue I'm getting where when I go full screen, that image seems to stretch a little bit. See how it's fine and then it sort of stretches there? And I'd say we just need to wrap this. So let's go to a landing feature. So here's one of the feature sections. Oh, that totally makes sense. It's because it's a direct child in here. So we're going to have to wrap this in its own div. So we might now have to say width is equal to 100%. Images are weird like this. You have to kind of play around with it a bit, massage it a bit. We might have to set a full width on here. All right, and then flex, flex center. And there we go. So now we go full screen on that. It doesn't mess with the image. Nice. I think I'm done. Hopefully I can't find any other excuse to do more work on this and I can start working on the app itself again. But yeah, I like it. I like having that extra space. It's not perfect, you know, obviously there's a few things you could do here and there, like emphasize different words and maybe add some extra text below here. And I'd probably like funnel hack other sites and see what they're doing and just kind of like play around with some of their ideas. But I think this is good and it'll give me a good opportunity to demonstrate layouts and how they all work. So yeah, I think this is fine. For those of you interested, this is what the app itself that I'm working on looks like. So it's a to-do app, and this API it's pulling from, it's actually an API. You can even use it right now. If you go to API, what is it? To-do api.quasarcast.com/to-do list. This is actually an API that you can use yourself. It uses a cookie to identify all of your requests. And it means that when you're following along with my Getting Started series, you don't even need to install a backend on your computer and deal with any of that logic. You don't have to get PHP set up. You don't have to get Firebase set up or anything like that. You literally just hit this API endpoint and you can create things, you can update things, you can delete things, you can search for things. It's a fully featured API that's going to be available to anyone 100% for free, so that when you're using my series, we can basically just focus on the front end, but still have a back end available on the web that we can hook into. And you'll be able to create to-dos. You'll be able to create lists and edit lists. So like I don't know, let's just call this shopping, for example. We'll make that a green list and add a shopping bag. Create that. And that's going to add it to my list section. If I refresh the page, it's then going to fetch all of those lists. So this is really cool. The fact that you'll be able to build this out with an API like that. And yeah, mostly these don't do anything yet. I've just been focusing on building out the UI, but that's the app there. And if you want to be one of the first to see it when it's ready, then check out quasarcast.com/register. And if you go there, you can then sign up for Quasarcast, create an account there. This is my site where I basically build all my Quasar related stuff and like post all of my videos. If you jump into courses, we've only got a little bit of a start here, but there is going to be a lot more content because this is basically my life now. I work during the day and I spend the rest of my time building Quasar videos, doing live streams and stuff like this. So you can also like check out my podcast. There's only one at the moment, but we're about to start one that gives the latest Quasar news and another one that does where I'm going to interview devs in the Quasar community. We're going to start with like some of the core developers, so that'll be super cool. Yeah. And there's also the Quasar show. There's 3 episodes of that, but I'm going to be dropping the Quasar show. And instead of doing an entire show, I'm going to do weekly videos where I cover things like a component. So we'll have like a component of the week and then a section of the docs of the week, something like that. So rather than having an entire show, I'll just do little tidbits so that you can just go to those individual playlists and check them out individually. And you can check out my story if you like on this site as well. But thank you so much for watching. Check out quasarcast.com if you're interested in videos and this kind of stuff. And I will see you in a future stream. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your attention and chilling out with me.